After the header, sill, and jambs are all secure and level, we're going to install the center wall pivot. To do this, you need a 3/4 inch drill bit. We're going to drill a 3/4 inch hole into either your wood, concrete, steel, and then place your sleeve inside that hole. Then you're going to install one screw into the center wall pivot and attach it to your substrate. Now, we've placed a piece of wood on the sill. That way when the first panel hits the wood, it's not damaging the sill. We're also placing, you can place cardboard, foam, a piece of wood, wherever else your panel's gonna hit. That way it's not damaging our surface inside the house or wherever you may be. Now, tools you may need. We had the ladder here. Once we had the first panel up, the first hinge you're gonna put on is the top pivot. You also need a 2.5 millimeter Allen key. That way you can adjust the Allen key up there so you can adjust the pivot height up and down. Also, once we bring the panel over here, we need to make sure we hold the panel at the bottom while lifting the panel up. Some of the heavier panels tend to slide. You don't want them sliding into the jamb or sliding in the background of your house. This hinge schematic paper comes in your booklet of the install manual. This tells you where all the hinges should go on a door system. Now we're attaching the center wall pivot to the panel. It uses 6 Phillips screws that are supplied with the hardware package. So now the first thing we're doing is we're putting this center wall pivot into its sleeve. Okay. Now I'm going to get on the ladder. I'm going to install the top pivot. You may need to adjust the pivot down to attach it to the panel. To do that, use a 2.5 millimeter Allen key on the Allen bolt up top. Then use a 1/2 inch ratchet and you can drop down the pivot to line up with the hinge holes. So now we're going to raise it back up using a 1/2 inch ratchet and extension. Now we're attaching the bottom pivot to the panel. Now once you have the top, center, and bottom pivot installed, you want to slowly close the door just in case the header or sill will rub the panel. That way you don't scratch or damage them. Before we hang the next panel, we need to put the hinges on this panel. On this particular door, there's 3 modified hinges we need to place on the stile, as well as a pull handle. Marshall, if you can move that corner out a little bit more. Move like a 1/2 foot out. Yep, right there. Marshall, can you put the thinner side of the wood underneath that? It's too much wood. Just a slight hair of wood. Not even both of them, just one, in the thinner part. All right about there. Now we just need to get the sill to either come up a little bit. I don't know if you're able to make it come up.
On your side or mine?
My side. Well, just put some shims under it, because you're not gonna be able to hold it steady for me. Huh? Perfect, right there. Takes a little bit of aligning to get the hinges in the right spot. If you try to force the screws in before the hinges align with the holes, it can bend the hinge. So you want to make sure that your hinge is perfectly aligned with the holes before you put the screws in. So now after you have the second panel attached, it's time to attach the first carrier. Now the holes are not lining up to the stile. So what we need to do is take our 2.5 millimeter Allen key and loosen the Allen bolt in the back. Then we can drop down the carrier pin so the leaves on the carrier will line up with the hinge holes. Now that they're lined up, I can run all 8 screws in, and then I can adjust the panel back up and tighten the Allen key back. After we've installed the top carrier, we're going to install the bottom carrier. We need to line all 8 screw holes up and then install all 8 screws. So after we installed the second panel, we were slowly moving the panel to check for clearance on the header and sill, and I noticed there was a very small gap between the panel and the sill. So I just want to adjust it up a little bit just in case the header sags over time so the panel is not rubbing on the sill. All right. Next 2. When you're bringing the panels over or unloading them from your truck, you want to make sure that you have a team member to help you lift the door and bring it to the area you need. You do not want to walk the panels on each end. What that causes is the door system to come out of whack or out of square. If that happens, once you put the weather stripping on, you will see daylight through the door.
Got it?
Bingo. Whenever you have a panel that's ending with a left or right carrier that also has an astragal on it, you need to remove the screws that are holding the astragal on. That way you can remove this astragal, and then the carrier can be installed. When installing the left carrier behind the astragal, you want to make sure your hinge holes are lining up with the hinge. In my case, they aren't, so I'm using my 2.5mm Allen key to loosen the Allen. Then I'm going to use my 1/2-inch socket to adjust the carrier down so the holes line up with the panel. Now that the holes are lined up, we can install all 6 screws. After we've installed the top carrier underneath the astragal, we're now going to install the bottom carrier. Same thing, we need to install all 6 screws. Make sure that the holes are lined up before you start sending the screws home. Once all 6 of these screws are in, we can replace the astragal back over to style.